This one of our favorite videos of the year, our deep sleeper list. Now, a lot of these guys are going to go with, your last pick in the draft. Some of them a little bit earlier, but we think these guys can definitely help you win your championship, give you nice return on investment on draft day.
These are the guys you're getting into the draft. You just throw them in your queue, because you don't know who you're probably going to take. You just throw them in there. But check out our draft guide. We also got them listed on there. Link in the description. It's free, and we make adjustments as news comes out. AJ Green, we just heard before shooting this, got a little ankle issue there. Probably going to move him down. So before your draft, make sure you're clicking on that link. Make sure you're printing it out. Dustin, give us some deep sleepers.
Andy Isabella.
Dustin's new favorite guy.
5'9", 188, ran a 4.3 40. Out there with the Cardinals. I know they have Kirk. I know they have Larry Fitz still. I know they drafted Hakeem Butler. But I think Isabella is going to carve a role in that offense right out of the gate. He seems to me to be that kind of perfect little safety valve guy that they can have up there with the rookie quarterback. Just get him into space, have him work his magic. Right now, his ADP is about 205, so we're talking your last pick and even in deeper leagues. But his last year with Massachusetts, 102 catches, almost 1,700 yards, average 16 yards per catch. This guy is dangerous in space. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. Might take a year or so for him to be very fantasy relevant, but I still think he's worth a game.
Previous Dustin loves have been Deion Lewis.
Yeah.
Has been Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
I've been on a few of these guys.
He's my guy this year. We'll see.
All right, I want to talk about Mr. James Washington. He's with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and while everyone loves Moncrief out there as the number 2, we're saying not so fast. Mr. Washington, obviously, was with the Steelers last year, and while he didn't have an amazing season, he got 16 to 38 targets for 219 and a touch. There's plenty of balls to go around with Antonio Brown gone. So basically what we're saying, whoever the number 2 is in that system is going to do very well. Everyone's taking Moncrief. Washington's going so much later that you snag him. If he's the guy that's number 2, you're going to be very, very happy you did on draft day. And we do like his upside. I mean, preseason's one thing, but if you look at his highlights, good little box out guy. He can go deep. He can go up and get the ball. James Washington, deep sleep.
What's Moncrief ever done?
Yeah, really, what has he ever done?
Devin Singletary is the next guy I want to talk about. His current ADP is around 170, which I think is
insane,
ridiculous. Because if you're investing anything in a Buffalo running back, so assuming you go for McCoy, you got to get Singletary just to lock that up. And it just, there's this, and McCoy might not even be there once the season starts. So he's got Gore, they got Yeldon out there, but are you really that worried about those guys? Singletary is obviously drafted to potentially be their running back of the future. Last 2 seasons at Florida Atlantic, averaged 6 yards per carry, 55 total touchdowns. He's got a nose for the end zone. I think he's well worth, a late round pick. He could end up being...
What's his ADP?
169.
That is a criminal. If you're drafted early, grab this guy and you can thank us later. All right, Mr. Quinn, the slot receiver for the Washington Redskins, going to pick 220 in terms of an average draft position. And here's the thing with him, Crowder's, he's with the Jets, and it's not like the Redskins are going to have this super high-powered offense, but he's getting a lot of love already. In the OTAs, he got love. Gruden already said he's like 100% locked up the slot position receiver. He's locked up the slot. They're going to have that, at some point very soon, if not day one. Haskins will be the starting quarterback. The knock on him is he can only throw the short passes. Guess what? This is going to be the guy in the slot getting a lot of those. I know what you're thinking. Oh, that should be Reed. You should also be thinking Reed's going to get hurt in about 38 to 39 hours here. So this is the guy. The Redskins are going to move the ball a little bit. Somebody's going to have to get a lot of targets. You could do worse than getting this guy at 220 that we think could be a high target monster. I love my targets.
Geronimo Allison.
Geronimo!
With Green Bay.
So dorky.
44th wide receiver currently off the board. Right around the 120th pick. So not the end of the draft, but he's getting towards the last few rounds. They have St. Brown out there. They have Valdez-Scantling out there. And I get that there's a competition going on, but it does seem like Allison has he's in the lead for the slot job out there, and we've seen what Rodgers can do with his slot receiver in the past. Obviously, all the success that that Cobb has had out there, and I just really feel like Allison's in a good spot on that offense, which might be a little more pass-heavy this year. It seems to be the case. I think Allison's got himself in a nice spot to really return on a 120 ADP. I think he could have a solid season.
All right, the first quarterback we're talking about, going around pick 135, is Mr. Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. Got to remember, this is fantasy. Fantasy is different than reality, and a quarterback that runs that much. And if you watched our QB video, I talked about it, but it's like he basically had 600 yards in the games that he started in terms of rushing. You double that up, simple math, there's a legit chance 1,300 rushing yards, which if you get that in terms of fantasy and passing, it's like 3,000 passing yards. So the fact that this kid can run all over the field makes him certainly interesting. Obviously, injuries are a little bit of a concern, but the Ravens have said there's going to be new looks, they're going to change the NFL. Normally, the first year these things happen, it takes defenses quite a while to adjust to it. I remember one drive last year, they ran it literally every single time. It was either Lamar or the running back went the entire way, and Lamar ended up running it in for a touchdown. If you're in a two-quarterback league, I absolutely love grabbing this guy, and I do think the upside of him is a QB1. So in this year, it's wait on quarterbacks. If you're taking two, he's not a bad guy to take a gamble on late.
A lot of what Brent just said can be related to Josh Allen, but it's the same deal. I mean, ideally, you don't want your running back running that much, but
your quarterback
running that much. But if that's your best chance of winning, you gotta win football games. He rushed for over 50 yards per game last year, which again roughly equates to about 150 passing yards. So if he throws for 150, rushes for 50, that's a 300 game. And their receiving core, Beasley, John Brown, Zay Jones, Robert Foster, you're not thrilled about that, but I do think it's slightly better than last year. He's currently being drafted as the 22nd quarterback, and just with Jackson, in terms of pure fantasy points, he does have QB1 potential. So I think it's a steal. If you wait and you can get, even just package those two guys at the very end of your draft and just play matchups, I think you will have a QB1 between the two if you play the matchups. So.
Love that call, actually. All right, I got two more to go personally, and I got two tight ends. Who should I start with? I'm going to start out with the handcuff. That's right. I'm talking about a tight end handcuff in Dallas Goedert. First time we've ever said that in all Smack Talk history, I think?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. He's going to pick 194, and you don't have to draft Ertz to draft this guy if you're in a really deep league, but basically what I'm saying is if Ertz goes down, Goedert really does have top 4, 5, at least top 7 potential. Certainly a tight end one, hands down. Last year, he caught 33 of 44 targets for a little over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. He can slide right in and be really, really, really good if Ertz goes down. But they're going to run 2 tight end sets, so those deeper leagues as well. He's going to get you some points, and he's got that upside.
Another tight end. We don't normally have this many tight ends.
I'm doing another
deep sleepers, but Jimmy Graham, we got hated on a decent amount last year for having Jimmy pretty low.
I think we had him as a bust, and guess what? He wasn't that good.
It wasn't that great, but it wasn't. It's been an over-adjustment. He had a down year because everyone was so high on him, and he didn't do as well as they wanted. And now they're just forgetting about him. He's the 15th tight end off the board now. His ADP is around 150. He had 55 catches, 636 yards, but he only had 2 touchdowns. So, yes, it was somewhat of a disappointing season, but he still plays for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and I do think they are going to. And it was his first year there. I think that after a season behind them, they're going to be better prepared. They're not going to have to force it as much as they did at the beginning in the red zone. I think it'll come a little more naturally this year. And the potential for double-digit touchdowns is still very much there for Jimmy. So just don't forget about him on draft.
And that's what's interesting about tight ends. I mean, for us, at least for me, it's like you're taking one of the top guys based on ADP, or you're waiting forever. And let's say you do wait forever. Maybe you end up grabbing 2.
All the way into your last pick, probably.
All the way to your last pick. And there's a guy that's going to 217, Mr. Tyler Eifert. Ew, right? I know what you're thinking, Nameco. He's played in 4 games, 2 games, 8 games, 13, 1 game, 15 his rookie year. So he never, ever stays healthy. But what I do like, he is on a 1-year show me deal. So basically, Eifert knows this is really his last chance. If he stays healthy, produces, he could get a decent contract. And the fact of the matter is, without AJ there, if he's...
Or with him banged up. But
with him banged up, you're right. With AJ banged up, which I think could linger all year, a guy like Eifert, the games that he played, he averaged a touchdown every other game. So he does well whenever he's actually on the field. And the fact that you can take him, I mean, your kicker's always your last pick, but if you're waiting on tight ends, you take somebody and you're like, you know what, I want to double down and just take a flyer. He's the kind of guy that has the talent. If it's about all health for him, and supposedly, I mean, of course, what the Bengals are going to say, he's coming in looking as healthy as ever looked. So
we'll see. So that's our deep sleepers. Let us know what you think of the list. Leave some comments on guys that you think we should have had on there. I'm sure you won't be afraid to tell us where you disagree. Checking us out, all their other videos, rankings, cheat sheet, all that fun stuff.
Peace out!